Mention. This showed up in our homework, and it showed up again. I like these kinds of problems. So we have a garden. We start with a garden. Here's my beautiful garden. It is 15 by 22. It doesn't matter which one I put as 15. Doesn't matter which one I'm doing 22, but there it is. All right, then we have a sidewalk going around it. I'm very picky. I'm going to have to just go with it. All right, good enough. So that sidewalk is 3 feet in width. That means that this distance here is 3 feet. This distance here is 3 feet. This distance over here is 3 feet. And I'm putting them in all 3 places for a specific reason. Over here is 3 feet. Okay, I'm supposed to calculate the area of the walkway. So basically anything I'm shading in green, I want that area. Unfortunately, you can't directly calculate that. But what you can calculate is this inside area. And what else you can calculate is this big total area. Well, total area minus this part's going to leave me with the green section. So we just needed the area of the garden and the area of everything around it. So let's talk about the garden. Let's talk about the garden. The area of the garden is just going to, this is 22 by 15, so it's 22 times 15. And what is that size?
Stop! You're hurting me! Fatima, what do I say?
You say people are in class, so quit yelling.
Ah!
22 times 15, what is that? Like,
330.
say that again?
330.
330 feet squared. All right, now we have to come up with our total. Here's where people make mistakes. I need this total area. Note that this is 22 in length. Well, this is 3, and this is 3. So in other words, we have 22 right here. But then we have 3, and then we have 3 over here. So in total, we're going to have 22 plus 6, which is 28. And this length down here is going to be 15 plus 6, which will be 21. So our total area is going to be 21 times 28. And what does that equal?
Big number. 588.
588 feet squared. And then we subtract. So we subtract total minus the garden is going to give us our path. So our path is going to be 588 minus that 330. That's going to be 258 feet squared, which looks like that was D. So as always, make sure you come early. Make sure you start working on time. Don't waste like 2 minutes in class just lollygagging. Do your work. All right. That is the bell work. What questions do we have from the homework? I got it right here. I just don't have today's lesson, but that's okay. I can make it up as I go along. Yeah, life.
12.
12. Is that the last one? No. 12 is this guy. The area of rhombus 100 and one diagonal is twice that one?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to refer you to homework 11.2b, number 13. I believe we did it in class as well. So it's the same exact problem, same numbers and everything. So 11.2b, that's page 96, I believe.
I did.
Yay. All right, other questions? Yes? 4. Oh, it was also homework, so let's do some more referring. Number 4 is a parallelogram with 45-degree angle and sides 6 and 10. So that is going to be page 94, number 1. We did that for that homework. Questions? Other questions? Megan? 3?
Also.
Number 3 was from page 94. Number 4. Page 94 and number 4. Other questions? Ooh, we're crushing them, yeah.
14C.
14C. That one is not part of our homework, so that one I will go over. All right, 14C. 14C, we're supposed to find the area of triangle OSP. So you're okay with A and B then?
Yes. Were they all the same problem?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think they were the same number the whole time.
Well, they have to be, because they're using the same numbers down here. Same picture.
I know it was the same picture, but it was different numbers.
Well, we can't have new numbers because they were fixed. They were fixed numbers. So if we found that triangle RSP, so we found that RSP equaled 240, right? And then we just subtract that 120. We're left with 120 for the other one. So yes, that's why it's in that order. They're back-to-back-to-back problems. So we needed this 240, helped us come up with this 120, which helped us get that 120. Okay? All right, other questions? Other questions going once? Don't be afraid if it's ones. I'll just refer you to the other homework. It's not that big of a deal.
I'll
Yeah. So the hedge will be mean, but I won't be mean. Yeah, life.
5.
Also homework.
No, it's not. This one.
Number 5 is on page.
No way.
Yeah, boy.
A rhombus with perimeter 68. That will be number 5 on page 94.
So I can get it right one day, not another day.
Yep. Well, here's what happens. You start learning other stuff, then you start getting confused. You confuse yourself. That's why I wanted you to refer us back to those.
I did.
How did you get 8? Which number
I got
again?
90 for 5. That was a couple off.
All right, you are definitely wrong on number 5, so you're going to have to look that up online. Okay, yes?
C.
Just C?
Yeah. Oh, 1C.
Oh, one C. All right, this is, we were supposed to find the area of this. Well, area of this will be base times height. We already have the base is 8, and the height is whatever line this is.
So
We
we just need to find that.
just need to find that. And we have this 8 and 17. So it's 8 squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. We just find. So note the 90 degrees, right? That's what makes it a height. So that's just the height of our parallelogram. It might look easier if you turn it sideways. And you can see that as your height. Other questions? Okay, then we'll go over to today's. Today is a lot of review and then some new stuff. First to our review, area of parallelogram. What's the area of a parallelogram? Life.
Area equals base times height.
Area equals base times height. So I did put a little helper in there that sometimes the height is actually outside of the shape. So if we look down here, the height is actually this one right here. If this is my height, right here, we know that because of the 90-degree symbol. That means our base is going to be this segment here. It will not be your entire line. It will just be the entire height times whatever segment that is. Be careful when the height is outside of your parallelogram. Don't mess that up. All right, what is the formula for a rhombus? First of all, a rhombus is a parallelogram, so it could be base times height, but if I know both diagonals, what is the formula if I know both diagonals? Yes?
Diagonal 1
Times
times diagonal 2. Right.
Times
Times
half.
half.
Yep, it'd be 1/2.
I didn't know that.
It'd be 1, now you do. Diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. And where that half comes from is diagonal 1 times diagonal 2 would be this rectangle here. So let's draw that rectangle really quick. That would be this rectangle That'd be diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. However, I need to fix that. I need to get rid of all that excess white stuff. And what's inside is just half it. That's where the half comes from. So it's diagonal 1 times diagonal 2, which gets you the rectangle. And then we cut off the other stuff by multiplying by 1/2. The other way people do solve this one is they actually get the areas of these little triangles and they multiply it by 4. The more options you have, the better off you are on like a test. All right, what's the area of a triangle? You two already answered. Yes? Half base times height. What's the area of this square based upon the variable that's provided to you? Someone new. Someone new. Yes? It'd be length times width, but given that one variable, what is the area of this square? Given that one side length. Yeah. S squared. S squared, which was exactly, that is length times width. Could be length times length, could be width times width. It's just a square. It's just one side times that same number. All right. What's the area of that rectangle based upon those variables given to you? We're down to 4 people who haven't answered. Right in this line here. Megan.
H times B.
Yep. Yeah. H times B is 100% correct. It usually just goes base first for whatever reason. No rhyme or reason on that. Okay, so that is all the old stuff. New stuff. Yeah.
Half height times base B1 plus B2.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It is half your height times B1 plus B2. But why is it 1/2 B1 plus B2? Let's talk about that in terms of medians. So if we look at the next picture, we're going to come up with another formula, but it's, the exact same formula. Now, here's my important part here is this is called a median, if you remember. Does anyone remember the formula for a median? The median of a trapezoid equals what? And this can be anyone, even if you answered before. What is the length of a median if you know the two bases of a trapezoid?
Isn't it like half of it less?
Ethan?
It would just be the number in between.
It would be a number in between. How do you calculate the number in between?
You would add the two bases and then you would divide them by 2.
I would add the two bases together and then I would divide by 2. In other words, 1/2 base 1 plus base 2. Well, that's a big chunk of our formula. Let's talk about where that comes from. Well, if I quickly draw a picture for you, if I draw a box just around the median, it would look something like this. So if I'm just drawing a rectangle around that median, it would look like that. Well, guess what? That's a rectangle where I take these triangles and I paste them on there and paste them on there. The area of this rectangle is the median times the height. Well, that's half of base 1 plus base 2 times the height. So another form of our area is going to be just median times height, or m times h. That's another formula that you can have. But that's exactly where the formula above it came from. It came from the fact that if you do the median and a box around it, that would be the area of the rectangle you could make. So kind of, once again, it's base times height, except we have to average our two bases. So once more, it's base times height, except this time I have to average my bases so I know what that one base would be. You can't have two bases. So we average them to get that. All right. That is the new stuff for today. So let's just practice it on 3 problems. We're not doing the 4th one. All right. It says, find the area of an isosceles trapezoid with legs 5 and bases 6 and 10. I want you to really focus on this term here, isosceles. Isosceles means that the legs are congruent. It's also going to lead us to another fact that we need to solve this one. So let's draw a trapezoid. Make it isosceles by putting that tick marks on both of the legs. So if one leg is 5, then the other one is 5 as well. It also says we have bases 6 and 10. Rather than putting my 10 there, I'm actually going to draw a little line and say the full length is 10. Quick remembering, base 1, base 2. Does anyone have an idea why I moved that 10 away from the base there? Yeah, Stephanie.
We have to create the 90-degree angle triangle.
Perfect. We have to create those triangles. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to create triangles out of both of these. So I'm going to drop a dashed line like this, 90 degrees. I'm going to call that my height. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Now I circled that isosceles thing for a fact. Most of us know an isosceles trapezoid has both of these the same. There is one more thing that isosceles trapezoids let me do. An isosceles trapezoid, and only an isosceles trapezoid, lets me say that this little segment is congruent to that little segment. That only works for isosceles triangles. So that means this distance down here is 6, and that's going to leave me with 2 and 2 over there. That lets me actually solve that triangle. So now if I just pull out this triangle here, we'd have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, so that'd be h squared plus 2 squared equals 5 squared. That will give me h squared plus 4 equals 25. That gives me h squared equals 21. That tells me the height of this is equal to the square root of 21. Can you simplify the square root of 21, or is it simplified? What was that?
It is.
It is already. You can't put 4 in it, you can't put 9 in it, you can't put 16 in it. It is already simplified. All right, so that is our h. All we need is base 1, got it. We need base 2, got it. And we need a height, and then we find our area. So the area is going to equal 1/2. Our height in this case is square root of 21 times base 1 plus base 2, so that's 6 plus 10. Our area is going to equal 6 plus 10 is 16. Divided by 2 is going to be 8, so we're left with 8 square root of 21. Our next one adds just a small little detail. It says find the area and the length of the median. Hey, let's find the length of the median and then use that to find the area. That's kind of how I geared this one problem too. So we could just find the area right off the bat. We could go half of 5 times 7 plus 13, but let's find the median first and then use that. So we said the median is going to equal 1/2 our base 1 plus our base 2. So that's going to be 1/2 of 20, which equals 10. Well, to find our area, we can do our height times our median. In this case, our height is 5. Our median is 10, so that just equals 50. It can be. It can also be really useful if you know only parts of stuff, like you know the median and you don't know the other two, or when you're going the opposite direction. All right, we're just doing one more together, and that is C. It says find the area, use the median. The reason why I picked this one is you got to be careful on how to draw a median. Just because it's drawn in this direction does not mean your median's going to be here. Your median is always going to be across whatever one's slanted. This is the line that makes it a trapezoid. If it was straight across, it would be a rectangle. The slant makes your trapezoid, so the slant is your leg. So since 13 is a leg, that means 12 also has to be a leg, which means 9 can be a base, call it base 1, and 14 would be my base 2. That means my median would be the line that runs smack dab vertically. So that right there is my median. That's our median. And it says find the area using the median. So let's find our median. Our median is going to be half of base 1 plus base 2, which would really be 9 plus 14, but I'm just doing 14 plus 9. Our median is going to equal 23 divided by 2. And I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. All right, area is median times height. What is the height of this shape? What is the height of this shape? Sam?
12.
It's 12. 12 will be your height. So 12 is our leg, and it's also our height. And how do we know that? Well, it's forming a 90-degree angle with our bases. One 90-degree points to a base and a height. So either 14 is a height, turns out it's base, so it must mean that 12 is our height. So that means our area is going to be median times height, so that's 23. 23 in me times 12, which is going to equal what? Ryan says, yeah, 138. Is our final answer. This one's going to be 54 if you do it. It's just repetitive, and there's no point of doing repetitive stuff for notes. But it's 54. It just says to solve it both ways. So if you want to make sure you understand it, go ahead and do it and make sure you get 54 out. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to talking about the homework. Just so no one gets stuck in the beginning. The first thing is a chart. It is a chart I don't have in front of me, but I'm sure I can picture it. All right, it's a chart that gives you 8 different trapezoids. And they give you information on each trapezoid. So if you look at number 1, they give you the base 1. They give you base 2. They give you the height. Your job is to find the area, and that M stands for you need to find the median. So you are just looking at those, and you're solving for missing stuff. A lot of these, knowing your 2 formulas can really help you. Your 2 area formulas can really help you speed up that. All the space around it is for you to do work on. It should be enough. If it's not, then get a separate sheet and do it on there. Yeah.
For that, do you have to do half of 12? Simple half 8?
Nope. I said the formula for, if you're using the median, is just median times. So if we go back to it, I said it's median times height because we're doing this box. The 1/2 is embedded in your median. Because I already took the 1/2, right? Unless I made a mistake and I was just rushing through it. I did take the 1/2. That's where the 1/2 is. So it's not gone. It's just buried in the median. All right, then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 are just pictures. Solve it the best you can. I do want exact answers. So that means if it's 30, 60, 90, use your S, 2S, S squared of 3. And if it's 45, 45, use your SS, S square root of 2. Don't use trig on this one. All right, guys, the rest of the time is yours. Make sure your homework is handy so when I walk around I can